Hi guys, welcome back to AstroShed. My name's Stuart. I've got another short one for you today, and it's another review. A lot of you have probably heard in the Astro world, and many people use the Mele Quieter 2 and Quieter 3 fanless PCs. I've been using the Quieter 3Q for a while now, and it's been absolutely flawless, to be honest. But they've also brought out now a new one, which is an Mele 3C Overclock PC. Now this is basically exactly the same as the 3C that's already out, but this has got a fan. It's not fanless, it's actually got a built-in fan. This is the actual unit. Ignore the marks on the front, it's still got the clear plastic cover on. I haven't taken it off yet. So this is the Mele 3C Overclock. Now it's slightly bigger than the previous model. It's around 10mm wider and around 30mm longer, and that's because it's got the built-in fan at this end, which is basically the extra length that you've got on the unit. Bit more weight to it as well. Now all the ports exactly the same as on the 3C. HDMI, power via the USB-C and a separate USB-C port, LAN port and an micro SD card slot, and then the usual 3 full-size USBs on the bottom. But like I say, this is an overclock version, and what they've done is they've gone back to the 5095 processor, the N5095, but it's overclocked, and by that I mean what they've done is they're giving the CPU an extra 3 or 4 watts of power, which is boosting its performance. By boosting the performance, hence you're going to get a lot more heat, and that's why I assume they've added the fan on this unit. I'm not sure why they've done that, because the latest 3Cs have got the 5105 PC, which is the newer one, so I'm not sure why they've gone back to a slightly older CPU and overclocked it and then had to add a fan. But this is actually being advertised on Amazon as an astrophotography PC. It isn't anything special for astrophotography. It's exactly the same as the other PCs they produce, but I'm guessing they've realised that a lot of people in the astrophotography world use these PCs, so they're just advertising it for use for astrophotography. Like I say, it's the only real difference is having the fan unit. I don't mount mine on the actual scope itself anymore. I actually have it off on the pier now, so the fact that it's a little bit bigger and a little bit heavier isn't really a problem for me. But for those of you who do mount them maybe on the side of your scope or somewhere near there, you might want to stick with the other one because it's lighter. As regards performance, I think it's a tiny bit quicker. It's hard to tell. Everything seems to be pretty quick anyway on the old one, so maybe a little bit. But the one thing I do like about this one, this is the 16GB RAM version and the 512 hard drive. Now it's got a 256 eMMc drive and a 256 NVMe drive in this, and the 16GB of RAM is also an actual full RAM chip, so it can be upgraded. Now they do it in 8 and 16GB. This is a 16 and it's got a 16GB chip, but it will take a 32GB. So the one thing I like about this is you can upgrade the RAM, make it a little bit quicker maybe, but more so for me because I want to run PixInsight on this for the live stacking feature. Having the extra RAM will be really useful. It uses the same 2 holes for mounting and the same mounting bracket as the old 3C does. There's obviously intakes here, and it looks like it's got a filter behind this panel. I've put Velcro on here because that's how I mount it. It's got a filter behind here, so it does take air in through this and then expels the air through the fan out this. The fan's automatically controlled, so it comes on and off. You hear it kick in. It's not the quietest, but it doesn't seem to come on an awful lot, and especially when we're going to be using it outside predominantly in cold weather, I don't think it's really going to be coming on that much. I think it's also got air intakes around the top. It looks like it's got holes all around the top, so whether it's drawing air in through there and expelling it out there as well, I'm not sure, but there's definitely a filter on the inside of these slotted holes, and like I say, I'm guessing it's sucking air in through the bottom as well. Now the other thing is, like I said before, it's got an NVMe slot as well as the built-in eMMc hard drive. Now this is just a bit of a tip really. What I've done is, with these, Windows always comes pre-installed on the eMMc drive, which is fine, but it's not as quick as using the NVMe. So what I've done is I've cloned the full drive on the eMMc to the NVMe drive, and then I'm booting from that drive. I've then wiped the eMMc drive, loaded all my software on the NVMe and got it all up and running, all my drivers, Nina, everything I need, and then I've cloned that drive back to the eMMc. So if ever I have a problem with the NVMe drive, I can just change the boot order and boot directly from the eMMc drive and have a full working system again straight away while I sort out the other drive. If I can't sort it out and get it up and running, then I can clone it back to the NVMe. So I've always got a drive that's fully working and I'm never going to lose any imaging time. So it's just a bit of a tip there. I've put a 512 NVMe in this, and then like I say, I've cloned it. Now it's a 512 drive I've got, but the built-in drive is only 256. That's okay, you can still clone it that way as long as all the information you've got doesn't exceed the 256. I think with everything loaded on my NVMe drive, it's only around 65-70 gigabyte. So as long as that doesn't exceed 256, then I can always clone it to the other one. I've always got a working drive, and then you can just choose which one to boot from. So just a bit of a tip for you there, and it does work well. It means that in a space of a few minutes, you have a problem with that drive on a night of imaging, you can literally switch over and be up and running again in 10 minutes using the other drive, and then it's easy enough just to clone back. And I use a software called Macrum Reflect. There's a free version of that, and it's brilliant for cloning, and it works very quickly and it works extremely well indeed. The other difference is, not sure, there's a 3C and a 3Q version of the original fanless design. The only difference with those was one's got a USB-C and one's got another full-blown USB 3. That is the only difference between the 3C and the 3Q of the original fanless design. This is basically the 3C overclock, so it has just the 3 full-size USB ports and an extra USB-C there. So I just thought I'd do that video for anybody who's thinking of buying a Mele or perhaps upgrading. If you've already got the fanless design and it works well for you, there's probably no need, other than the fact that you can get this in 16 gigabyte if you do want the extra RAM to run any other programs such as PixInsight. Things that require a bit more memory to get them working faster, like PixInsight does. But if you're looking at buying one, you haven't already got one, then it is a good buy. It's slightly cheaper, I think, in the UK than the original 3C. I'm guessing that's because it's slightly gone back on the processor, but it is as quick due to the overclock. It does produce some heat like the original fanless design. Even though it's got the fan, it does get warm, but I've not noticed that being an issue at all. It doesn't seem to decrease the working speed of it and the way it runs. So I hope that was of use to anybody who's thinking of maybe going down the Mele mini PC route. If you like the video and you found it of use, think about subscribing or at least giving it a thumbs up. And until the next one, thanks for watching and clear skies.